Hi, Scottish Mudlarkin here with Nicole and Craig. Today we're taking a look at this incredible structure. This is Crawford Priory.
When we started researching Crawford Priory, we discovered a story about a house that had been significantly remodelled over the years, and most notably by Lady Mary Lindsay Crawford, an extremely interesting character who I'll say a little more about later.
So we're on a bit of an impromptu one today. The sun came out, it's been foggy and misty for the last 3 or 4 days, so we thought we would take our chances. Clouds are starting to come in just now, but hopefully it'll remain nice and clear. Today then, we're off for a wander through the woods in search of an abandoned priory called Crawford Priory. Huge thanks to everybody for watching our videos, for commenting and liking our videos. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I'd also like to say a huge thanks to everyone who's visited our Etsy shop and supported us in that way, and to everyone who's supported us through Ko-fi. Thank you so much.
Isn't there a saying or something that there's like treasure buried under these trees, like troll treasure or something like that?
Like kind of finding a crock of gold at the end of a rainbow.
Yeah.
Just finding, what, troll treasure at the roots of a tree?
I don't know. I kind of just have this thought, maybe it's fairies.
Oh, so it's worth a look, isn't it?
I'm not seeing anything.
Oh,
There's clover here though.
We'd best get on.
Yeah.
We're not entirely sure, but this looks like an old stables block. Some of it might be occupied, but some of it's definitely not. The building looks in really good repair.
Look, it's got a horse head.
Yeah, okay. So that's a big hint. I reckon I'm right then, that this is the old stables building. Now, it's been turned into private residences, but you can probably see here from the decoration above the courtyard entrance that this was an old stables block. And what size of stables block this is! You've got to imagine the size of the priory must have been, you know, a pretty demanding building to have a stables this size. Yeah, I think it's straight along the road.
Yeah, let's take that road then.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see if we can find it. Well, that's this. We're just passing the old stables building. More of these rhododendrons, huge rhododendron bushes here. Okay, I think I can see where we're heading ahead. That looks like a big danger sign to me, just up along the road there.
Alright.
No, I can't read it clearly. I should say I'm not boasting here about my superior eyesight. It looks forbidding. Let's just say that.
Okay, so let's see, we're not far.
Yeah. Well, the going here is far easier than it was getting to Bin End, and I think, at least from what I'm led to believe, there's a lot more of this building than there was at the buildings at Bin End. I just had a whoop from Nicole. I think she's spotted something there. I think I can begin to see some disruption among the trees here. Did I hear a happy noise?
Yeah, there's a structure in the woods.
Okay, Nicole's just found the first structure. I mean, it's the same as last time. I think Nicole spotted the first one last time as well, but there's something in here.
I'm reminded of a Brothers Grimm fairy tale here.
What, into the woods?
Yeah, look. It's like an ice house or a coal bunker or something, but it has, you see, walls behind it.
Oh yeah.
Let's go check it out.
We'll have a quick look at that. If you don't know what an ice bunker is, I'll tell you what an ice bunker is later. Maybe a hermitage, another interesting structure found in back in the day. Any big estate would be ashamed not to have its own hermit. It's true, they were hired, and
Hermits were
yeah, hermits were hired.
Oh, like jesters.
Now there's a much bigger wall behind that. I can see some roofing materials behind that structure that you've seen.
Yeah, what is it?
Oh yeah, there's definitely remnants of building here. Still not sure what that structure is though.
That's where the witch lives from Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, and of course you're saying that's the witch's house. It's oddly enough this place. Oh, careful! You okay?
Yeah.
Good. So oddly enough that you'd say witches. Well, not a witch. This building is said to be haunted.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to hazard a guess that might be a dookoot. It could be a big dookoot. Nicole's found some what she's enthusiastically calling pottery. I would call it porcelain and suggest it had a stronger household use.
I think it might have been something from the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks to have been here a long time.
What do you think it is? You think that's a sink or maybe a...
It's quite narrow, but yeah, maybe it's a kind of a sink or a something.
Yeah, like a hand basin or something.
Yeah. But it's been here a long time. We're not taking it.
We're saying it's a hand basin.
Yeah. Let's have a look around the entrance and see what it looks like.
Let's do that. So yeah, that looks like Nicole's found another big basin type thing here. And there's some incredible trees here, some really beautiful trees. But yeah, this basin, that's definitely, I think that's a wash basin. It looks like a wash basin.
There's some metal down there and here.
Yeah. So do you think this is an old wash basin then? It certainly looks like it.
It looks like a kind of Belfast sink. I don't really want to dig around it. It looks like a really lovely art installation.
Yeah. I don't know. No, it's
very pretty.
Very big, very heavy old ceramic sink thing.
It says B47 on the side.
Okay. I do see that there's an old wheelbarrow over here. Various other bits and bobs lying around here. There's like what looks like an old trailer or something.
Yeah.
With you can see the wheel there just near the base of that tree. Now I'm going to go around the other side of this structure.
Okay.
It's an old stone structure. Quite nice. Seems to be a footpath on the other side. Now I'm guessing because of the slope on the roof here that this might be a dookoot, but I can't be sure. Let's see what we find on the other side. Okay, let's see if we can get under here. Not too bad. Yeah. So we're on the other side of that building. Oh no! I don't think it is a dookoot. Oh, it is. So how can I tell that this is a dookoot? Well, we just need to look to the roof. You know, this might have been a dookoot come cottage. So it may well have been that this building... We'll maybe try and have a look at this, see if we can find an old map of this area. I wouldn't go in there. There's trees falling on the roof on the other side. I can see trees growing inside.
I'll look through the window then.
Yeah, we can have a peek through the window and stick the camera in. But yeah, you can see the old wooden roof beams. They're all rotted, and you can see upstairs definitely a dookoot. My guess is that this was actually entirely a dookoot, and the reason that we can see that wire mesh down there would have been for cages. So the idea of a doocoot, if you don't know, is that a structure was built to encourage pigeons to fly in, set up a nest, and then the eggs would be collected to eat.
It's usually big estate houses where you can find a doocoot, right? Just a bit kind of outside the house.
Yeah, usually large estate houses had doocoots. We've found a number of castles and old royal buildings that had doocoots as well. I've never seen one that looked quite so much like a cottage.
Yeah.
And quite an elaborate, quite a big cottage as well.
Yeah, gives you an idea just of the budget of the house.
Something else that gives you an idea just how precious these doocoots were. I don't know if you can see that next to Nicole. You can maybe point that out. There's an iron bar on the wall. Yeah. If you look up there where Nicole's pointing. Yeah, so you can see from these holes that the entire window was barred closed. We can see here, if we go over to the other window, that the bars remain entirely intact. So that would be today's first abandoned building proper then. Would be the old doocoot here.
Let's go see if we can find the priory now.
Just around the corner from the doocoot, Nicole just pointed off into the woods and saw these structures here. We're going to try and get up as close as we can to them.
I think the first thing to say about Crawford Priory is that it has never been a priory. It was originally constructed in 1758 as a hunting lodge for the 21st Earl of Crawford, George Lindsay Crawford.
Yeah, so here we are. We're at the entrance to the old Crawford Priory. I reckon this was probably a coach house. It looks like an old water tank in there that you can see. And I don't know if you can see that in the back corner. There's a sheet of asbestos roofing. I'll just zoom in on that. So another interesting aside for any brick fans there, if we look at the bricks that were used to build this section, we've seen these before. These are the old Weems ones. Sorry, it's upside down. That was the way the builder put it in. There's one the right way up for you.
Furniture, it's a pile of wooden furniture.
Alright, so Nicole's found some old discarded wooden furniture. You can see there's a midden here. There's a lot of stonework around here as well. Discarded stones. Yeah, so there's a lot of this old wooden furniture here. There's a chair, definitely, bedside table as Nicole was just saying, and some shelving units there. Now, a wee bit concerned that there might be some nails sticking out of some of the old pieces of wood, so we'll want to watch our feet so as to avoid a wee trip up to Nine Wells for a tetanus jab.
I'm afraid
Okay.
in the woods at dark.
Yeah, don't go wandering around in the woods in dark, folks. Particularly not anywhere near old haunted houses,
No.
or houses that are reputed to be haunted.
Wow.
Apparently, George's hunting lodge was a modest affair, and it was never intended to become the building that it would grow into.
We're looking at the shape of this building, and I think, as Nicole's just pointed out, this is the old coach house for the Priory. Although there was a coach house further down the road, that probably wasn't for this building, although we're not entirely sure. We'll have a look at that, but we'll get through here and see if we can get a closer look at the Priory. Yeah, it's clearly not the Priory, is it? It's
Well, there's a bit more building to the left there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's have a wee look. We'll go through here.
Yeah.
And I think Nicole's going to do a wee bit of a rummaging around, but it's probably best to keep out of structures here.
That's so weird. It's really kind of nice, like scales, but weird. It's smooth but rough because it's sandstone.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, so this is as far as we can get from this side to look at the Priory, but we'll try and get some better looks. From here you can see the old entrance. This is certainly the courtyards and the coach houses for the old Priory that we've been in. But Crawford Priory itself is walled off for safety reasons. It's really interesting because see, if you look up at the wall just up at the back there, you can see that just underneath what would have been a chimney, I guess.
Yeah.
You can still see the wood that was fitted to the stones.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the plasterboard would have been fitted over that, or not plasterboard, but that's what would have held the plaster in place.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling also that this building used to have a lift in it. If you look right up here,
That's
is
right.
that a lift?
It is, yeah. Yeah, because you can see the wheel on the top.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Well, the building was inhabited until the late 60s, so maybe somebody put an elevator in it.
Yeah, certainly the technology existed in the 60s, didn't it?
Yeah.
The Crawford title went awry in 1808 when Lady Mary Lindsay Crawford's brother George died, unmarried and without an obvious heir. Mary inherited the house, though the Crawford earldom did not remain associated with the state after this point. When Mary passed in 1833, the house passed on to her heirs, the Earls of Glasgow, who added a chapel to the house. Debt soon forced the Earls of Glasgow to liquidate their assets or else lose their paternal seat. Crawford Priory changed ownership again, moving from a paternal bloodline across bonds of marriage to become the property of the Earl's brother-in-law, Thomas Cochrane, who was soon to become Baron Cochrane of Cults. Further remodelling of the house was carried out during the early 20th century, and most obviously the extensive entrance on the west side of the house was removed. When the second Baron Cochrane of Cults died in 1968, the house was closed and left vacant. The Cochrane family report that the property was in need of significant and very expensive renovation at this time. Faced with the cost of repairing the property, the Cochranes chose to close the house. The interior decoration and fixtures were all stripped out and sold off. Then a few years later, the roofs were removed. It was common practice to remove roofs on an empty property so that it would be exempt from taxes. Sadly, without the protective cover of a roof, the building went into steep and fast decline. The house that remains is now the property of Crawford Priory Limited, a company that is run by the Cochrane family. In 1997, the building became the object of a dispute between the Cochrane family, who had applied to have the building demolished on the grounds that it presented a danger to the public, and Historic Scotland and the Scottish Civic Trust, who argue that the building is a unique piece of Scotland's architectural history and must be preserved.
Here's Nicole. Did you find it?
It's impressive around that.
Okay, yeah, let's go see if we can get some nice shots. Nicole's just saying it's very impressive around the other side.
It really imagine, right, the lady of the house standing in that big window, awaiting her guests for a ball or something.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where people have sighted the supposed ghost of this place,
Maybe, yeah.
hanging around the window.
Likely.
But yeah, there is a wee hidden path here where we can get in to a little bit of clearing and maybe get some better views. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to crawl. So we just took the difficult route of crawling through that tree and the big thorny bush beside it.
Yeah.
And of course, as luck would have it, we get here and we see that there's a path
Oh well, you know.
just on the other side of those trees there that would have made life a wee bit easier.
Oh, for the way back then.
But still, nonetheless, so we have a rather remarkable view. Let's have a look at that.
Wow.
It's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I say I'm keeping it hidden from everybody else just now.
Yeah, show them.
yeah, I'm going to turn and get a nice view of this place.
Lady Mary Lindsay Crawford is the best known owner of the Crawford Priory. And rightly so. It was under Mary's ownership that the property grew from being a hunting lodge to the vast, eccentric, Gothic-styled country house that it became. By all accounts, Mary was a unique character. Unlike her female peers, she was outspoken and strong-minded. She was an independent woman long before such a thing was easily imaginable. In her day, Mary was condemned by many, and she became the subject of rumour and scandal, despite there being no grounds for these attacks on her personality. Mary inherited the house in 1808 following the death of her brother George, the last of her 4 siblings to pass. Being the only direct family member left alive of the Crawford line, Mary bore the responsibilities of running the Crawford Priory estate, and she immediately set about developing the lodge into a priory. Strikingly, Mary's first priority was to build better accommodation for the servants. This took priority over the opulent grand hall that she had planned with her first architect, David Hamilton. Following her brother's death, Mary also took up care of a wild deer that George had tamed. Reportedly, Mary and George doted on animals. Mary had a number of dogs, foxes and other animals that she bore a sense of responsibility towards. The letters between Mary's architect and her builders reveal a strong-willed woman. On more than one occasion, Mary shows concerns about the cost rising above her means, especially concerning the extremely opulent Grand Hall. The image that you can see here is of the Grand Hall looking towards the huge stained glass window. Of course, the stained glass window is no longer there. If you could see through it, you would be looking at Nicole and I as we looked in through this window. The white plaster arches, still in place above the doorway on the left and along the wall, is all that remains of these incredible and ornately styled fan ceilings. It must have been an awe-inspiring sight in its day, and it cost a small fortune, so much so that Mary wrote to her lawyer, Hugh Hamilton of Pinmore, to ask if she should content herself with something more humble and moderate. Of the little research materials that I could find concerning Mary, her obituary is probably the most revealing. Upon her death, Mary left a considerable sum to the poor of her parish, and much was left also to her servants, who were well looked after in her will. Perhaps most telling is that Mary left instructions in her will to protect and take good care of her animals. Her horses were not to be traded to a cruel master, and she left special instruction that her brother's horse should, when its time came, end its life painlessly and without stress. Mary's obituary also knows that she bore many eccentricities that leaned to virtue's side and to the cause of humanity. Mary was an extraordinary woman both of her time and of her class, so much so that her care for animals and less fortunate people often caused her to wander from the conventions of behaviour expected of a woman of her time and social standing. It is to her credit, then, that Mary has become the object of local legend. Mary's funeral was heavily attended by her tenants and by the villagers from Cooper and Ceres. The atmosphere is said to have been most respectful. Even now, local legend says that Mary's presence remains at the Priory, and that her ghost can be seen in the ruins, or within the woods around the house, where she spent so much time in her youth, caring for and befriending wild animals.
So we're just peeking our noses in here a wee bit, but we're not going to go right inside the structure. Yeah. Some signs here that there would have been some elaborate door furnishings around the doorway here. There's some still intact. Whilst these other ones, you can make out the outline of them. Yeah, you can still clearly make the outline out of these, but I'm not quite sure what they would have been. Wow.
This is so amazing.
Yeah. So you get some sense of the scale of this window. We've stood in front of small structures and Nicole stretched her arms out before, but yeah, I think you get the idea. Yeah.
There's the metal stuff, probably from the girders up there. The old
Those
fireplace.
aren't girders, those are just wooden beams.
Oh right, yeah, but the
Yeah.
metal thing.
Well, you can see the fireplaces on the second floor
Yeah.
up here. So there's 1, 2, 3, I think, along there. So that'll give you an idea of the room divisions in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of broken metal work down on the floor here.
Yeah. But this must have been a very tall roofed room.
Yeah, this room for sure.
Yeah.
We can see the decoration that would have been over the door, or at least the shape of the decoration that would have been over the door here.
Yeah.
There's also a large arch. Now, I'm not entirely sure how that would have figured out, but there's enough lines left in the wall where we can see where things were fixed to the wall. We can see the lintels above the windows, the hearths, and some woodwork where the old plaster was attached as well, as well as some of the wooden window frames still.
There's doors as well.
Upstairs.
Yeah, there's one there.
Yeah.
One around here where I'm standing in.
Yeah, we can see the doorway there. Can also see this must have been a large hall, this room. There's a large heap of rubble over there with ferns growing out of it. I suspect that's the roof, or at least part of the roof.
Or the wall there just collapsed. Wow.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty in its own way.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this would have been a floor beam or roof beam or quite what this would have been, but the There were no metal girders here. There is metalwork attached to that, but that's a large, very heavy wooden beam. I guess supporting the upper floor.
Yeah.
That's a guess. Now you can just see that loose piece of masonry is just sitting on that ledge there. It's obviously dropped from somewhere. I really don't want it to drop any further. So, last look then of this grand hall, or what would have been, I guess, a grand hall. There's the old entrance and vestibule. It's actually stained glass fitted here. Well, I say stained glass, but leaded glass. That's very cool actually. You can still see the supporting struts. So if you don't know anything about stained glass, or at least leaded glass, the lead, and we can still see some here. So the lead that holds onto the glass becomes so heavy that the weight of a pane down the entire length of this would pull the glass down. It would pull the glass out of its place eventually over time. So what people who are installing stained glass windows or these leaded glass windows do, they fit these little metal bars. Now you can see the little rings. These little rings here. So these little rings here, these would have been attached to the lead on the window all the way up. You can see there's 3 in this window, and that would support the weight of the glass and all that lead.
One last look. Let's go through there.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look through there and then we better go because although the camera is probably masking it, it's beginning to get a little dark.
Yeah, and again, we didn't bring a torch.
Yeah, and we don't know the road well.
No, let's go.
I mean, it's really strange actually because the building really does have the appearance of a religious building. If you look at those windows, the arches on the windows, and even here, if we look along to the end, the wing over here in the end, it has the look of a kind of gothic cathedral.
Yeah, almost like the Sagrada Familia. Reminds me of that. And yet, it was a family home.
Yeah, so although, you know, we've said it looks a bit like a religious building, and it is indeed called a priory, it never served the function of a priory. This was a family home. From the day it was built to the day the last person spent a night in here. Yeah, that's one of the other startling things there that Nicole's just pointed out. This building was finally vacated in 1968.
Yeah.
So really not very long ago.
No.
And yeah, I said it before when we were at Bin End, it's incredible how quickly you know, the woods and the trees and the foliage and the undergrowth take back the space that's occupied by man-made structures. 1968. Quite an astounding building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an amazing place.
It really is.
Yeah,
it's
it's
quite
really
stunning.
yeah. The architecture is wonderful.
Yeah. It's amazing. And just to think, as we say, you know, 1968. Someone lived in here until 1968.
Yeah, it really doesn't look it.
Yeah. Again, another one of these cases where the old land barons lose all their money, go bankrupt, and end up having to sell all their properties and let places like this just go back to nature.
Yeah. One last look.
So I don't think we could have done much better for choices in terms of abandoned places number 2. What do you think?
No, this is a great place.
It's quite stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It's remarkable just to think as well, you know, as we say, it's once occupied, just this really quiet spot of woodland here.
Yeah.
What an amazing place to be.
Yeah, I'm sure it's savable.
Yeah.
I hope it is.
I think the local avian population are asking us to leave. So either that or they're having a bit of argy-bargy between themselves, but we'll get going.
Let's go get a cup of tea.
Okay, now we're going to try and head back the way without going through that very difficult, thorny route there. So I think this should take us back around to the path we were on. Nicole's waiting on the road, I think filming or taking a photograph herself. Is that a sequoia? It's huge! Whatever it is, it's huge.
I found a pine cone and it smells amazing. It smells like tree sap.
It doesn't smell piney.
Well, it smells like forest. I'm taking that home.
Yeah. Okay, there's a find.
Yeah. I wanted to take something home, but
Not so
everything
much.
was so big.
Yeah, not so much mudlarking today as a wee bit of botanical spot the pine cones.
Yeah. It's
And that's
quite
another
nice.
amazing tree behind you there as well. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know. I think that's all mistletoe in there.
Right. Yeah, I know. This is another one of those days where we say we better get on our way and we just hang around. So we probably should. I think this is the right road. Right, back on down the road. So what's that? You're looking for a teddy bear having a picnic?
Yeah.
Are you hungry?
I'm not looking for the teddy bear.
Nicole wants to steal sandwiches from a teddy bear, folks. This is bad patter.
I'm hoping for cake.
Teddy bears with cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to find some teddy bears with cake.
Yeah, or chocolate.
You know, we're in the woodlands, so there's
Who
every
knows?
chance there's going to be a teddy bear's picnic somewhere.
We don't have bears.
No, it would be a pine martin's cake.
Yeah.
A very small cake. Oh, there's that fairy gold, or was it troll gold? This is the tree stump that Nicole passed earlier on. There's a river running off to our left. We're about to cross a bridge, but before we do that, we're just going to pass through the old gate to this estate. We hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to everybody for watching the videos on the channel, for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for commenting and liking our videos. A huge thanks also yet again to everyone who's visited our Etsy shop, had a look around, maybe bought something. And thank you so much to everybody for supporting us on Ko-fi. As I said at the beginning of this film, we could not do this without you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Friday, 7 PM GMT time. Bye bye for now.